Hey guys, what's up? It's Steve here with another CG Geek Blender tutorial. Today we will be using Blender's Fluid Sim and Ocean Modifier combined to make splashes in Blender. So we're going to be doing some combining of the two using a little bit of a mask and some render layers, and you'll see you can get some very good looking results and splashes like in a wide open ocean scenario where this would not be possible with one or the other. So this is a technique I've been playing around a little bit with, and you can see those examples that I did, and they looked very good and very acceptable and very usable. So without further ado, let's explain the process of doing this. So I'm going to delete my default cube and lamp and choose Cycles Render. And I'm going to shift, I guess I'm going to add that cube right back in, so you don't have to delete the cube. But I'm going to go to front view or right view, scale up to about 4 on my domain object. This will be my fluid domain object. So you need a pretty large fluid domain object for this scene. I'm going to go about 4 because you will be using it to create some ripples and stuff, and it can't be very small. Now I'm going to tab into edit mode and raise my cube along the Z, holding control so it snaps nicely on that center line there. And that's looking pretty good. Now that I got my origin at the bottom here by doing that, I'm going to Shift D, duplicate my domain, scale it down a little bit so it's scaled down like that, then scale down along the Z. So this is going to be our water level. Pull it down to something like that and raise it up a little bit. So we want about 1/3 of water in our cube and then 2/3 no water. Very good. Now we need an obstacle to collide with the water mesh. So I used a few different obstacles, and you saw in my quick examples that I used a football and I used a beach ball. Now if you want to use a football, you can use that tutorial that I just posted last week on creating a football in Blender, and that will work nice. Or you could do what I'm going to do here and just create a basic UV sphere. And if you want to do what I did, you could make it look like a beach ball or something like that. So I'm just going to add in a UV sphere, something like that. Scale it down to about 0.5 or 0.6. It has to be pretty small to work well. So maybe scale down, Command Z, scale down to 0.5. Very good. And move it over here. Something like that will be acceptable. And I'm just going to keyframe this now. So basically for the keyframing, let me choose automatic keyframe insertion because that's simplest. And we'll just have it start at frame 5. So grab it and let go of it so it puts a keyframe on it right there. Then at about frame, say, how many frames do we want? Maybe like 15 frames or something, maybe a little under 15. So I'm going to go about frame 18 and grab it towards like the center of my mesh here and pull it down to the water level. Boom. And maybe double tap R, give it some random rotation, like it came flying in, like maybe someone kicked the ball or something. Very good. Now let me scroll through it, and you see we get that. It's a little bit fast, so what I might do is go to my last frame here, and just go a few frames after that, grab it, and add another keyframe there. And then I'll just go to this one, Option I, delete it. Now let's turn the whole animation down to be just 40 frames or so, because we don't need too much. Maybe we'll go 48, which would be 2 seconds of time at 24 frames per second. So that looks pretty good, and we just need to add a little bit more animation. So how I'm going to do this is going to be a really simple but great looking way. I'm going to go to the graph editor in my window here, and I'm going to choose my Z location. You can see we have this curve, and it comes in like so. Basically, I'm going to start by grabbing all my first keyframes here. This is all the first keyframes. And I'm going to go V, vectorize them. So they're all completely straight. So it comes in, whoom, like so. Very good. Now I'm going to select both on the Z location. Hit N to bring up my properties. And interpolation, I think it's called. Yes. We're going to choose bounce. So this is very cool. If you look at the graph here, you can see we get that. Boom, boom, boom. And it basically adds a bounce to your animation. How cool is that? So basically, if you watch the animation now, it goes boing, boing, boing. Very good. Now it could be used to be centered a little more, so I'm going to move this keyframe inward more, and then this keyframe inward more as well. Now if you look at this, boom, boom, boom. Very cool. I can pull this keyframe back a little bit more, I think. But you're getting a very nice looking realistic bounce. Boing. Very good. And that's all we need. Now after that bounce, you should have a little bit of movement to your sphere. So what I did is I just kind of took it and raised it up a little bit, rotated a little bit, and then jumped ahead a little bit more, raised it down a little bit, just kind of some realistic floating motion, and then jump ahead and rotate a little bit more and lift it up. So it's kind of like on the waves. And now if I play this back, you can see it's not bad looking. It should be very acceptable and very good. There we go. So that will work well, I believe. So let's set up our fluid settings now. So I'm going to jump over to our physics tab here. And with our large cube selected, we're going to make this our fluid. And then for the type, we will choose domain. And there we go. We have a domain fluid obstacle set up. A few more settings we want to change, obviously. Let me close that off. Is, first of all, the time. So start and end is 4 seconds right now. And I set this up to be 2 seconds. So the end will be 2. That'll be 2 frames or seconds in Blender. And now for the fluid world, this is basically how large is our domain in the real world. Now this size is set up in meters, and this is probably close to about 4 or 5 meters, I'd say. If this is a beach ball, it's a few feet, maybe 3 or 4 meters for this. So I'm just going to go 4 meters there. Now, this is fine. And fluid particles, we want to change this to about 2. Give it about a 0.1 in particles. That might be too much. Maybe a 0.02. A lot of particles is cool, but a little unrealistic. So maybe just 0.03, something like that. Now we also need to turn the subdivisions on if we want to see the particles. And then crank the smoothing up just a tad to look nice. So I'm going to go 0.13, I think would be good. And that's good. Now let's set up the obstacle on our ball here. So this is going to be fluid, type is going to be obstacle. Now the only thing we're going to change here is the partial slip. We're going to change to no slip. If I hover over this, it says it's the only option for moving obstacles or objects, and this is a moving object. So we're going to do that. And now the impact, this is for kind of cleaning off the fluid, off the obstacle, making sure nothing really sticks to it. And it's kind of unphysical value, as it says there, but it kind of deletes fluid that is attached to it, I believe, and stuff like that. And I'm going to go just 0.8 to do a little bit of that as well, because I found that helped make it look a little bit better. But there we go. I think this is ready to be baked. So let's save our Blender file. Just going to save this as splashes. Boom. And let me just throw this in my folder here. Very quickly. There we go. And save it. Now I think we're ready to bake. So I need to crank up the resolution on our fluid scene here. So I'm going to quick save this. It's always good to save before you bake. And I'm going to go up to 150. So this is a fairly large bake. I want a little bit higher on mine, but this is a tutorial and I don't want to take forever. So I'm going to go 150. And then you're also good by placing your cache in a folder somewhere so you know where it is, and then Blender will remember it when you open it. Otherwise, you might have an issue with it being just a temporary file, and then if you reboot it or something, you'd have to rebake your file. So you don't want that. So I'm just going to put this in the same folder I just made, and that will work well. So save, leave everything else as it is, speed at 1, fluid presets, water, but that doesn't change anything because it's already set up to be that. Very good. So we're going to click bake. No fluid input. Oh, forgot our main fluid here. So this will be fluid, type, fluid. Very simple. That's all you need to worry about. There we go. So now select our domain, save it again, and bake. So you can see it starts baking, and it will take, oh, hold up, is it baking? Yes, fluid simulation up there is baking, and this might take 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to pause the recording, obviously, and I'll be back when that's done. Okay, so this simulation is almost done, and it's done enough for me in this tutorial. So I'm going to cancel it before it finishes, just because it will save up to that point, and I don't have to worry about it. But let's see what it's looking like. Bloosh. Doesn't look bad. This is the low quality version. Go to something like that. Bloosh, see what it's looking like. And then let's turn the viewport display to be final. And this will crank it up to the high resolution. So not bad. Kind of an interesting looking splash. Lots of particles. And not too bad. Your splash will look different depending on how you animate your sphere, obviously. And but that looks pretty good and pretty convincing, so I'm going to leave it. Very good. I'm going to pick a frame like that to render, probably. And turn the mesh to smooth shading. So do that. And then we can move our bottom fluid mesh here. Whoops, I just hit it. Move it to the bottom. Very good. So let's set up our camera now real quick, because we have our mesh here. We can see what it's going to look like. Let me make this smooth as well. Very good. Select my camera mesh. First I'm going to change the focal length to be a very zoomed in look. Give it like an 80, 85 zoom. And give it some depth of field. But I can't do that until I set up my camera more. So pull the camera back here. Double tap R. Raise it up. I'm still inserting keyframes, so you might want to uncheck that. But grab it down along the Z-axis and get something like that. Pull it in a little bit closer, maybe. Very good. Whoops, don't delete. Top view. Maybe rotate it this way a little bit. And pull it over there. That's not bad. Pull it out. And pull it along the Z. There we go. That's not too bad. Double tap R. Rotate it down. Just find an angle that works for you. And it should be good. That's pretty sweet looking. Now, something that I was doing that helped the simulation look a little better is also scale up my beach ball just a tad. Now, you can't just go S and scale because we have all these keyframes already inserted with the scaling on them. But what you can do is tab into edit mode, select your sphere, scale it to be like a 1.05. So this makes it a little bit bigger. And that will help with the simulation, I believe. Not the simulation, but hide some of the errors of the simulation. So there we go, and maybe throw a subdivision surface on that now that it's done. Smooth it out a little bit for the render. Okay, so this is good for the fluid sim. I was going to quick set up the depth of field here as well. Choose my camera settings, give the distance, and choose limits so I can see what it's looking like. The limits will come out to here. Distance right about there. Very good. And we'll choose f-stop. And give it a focal length of something like 0.6. So, even less, maybe 0.5. So, a shallow depth of field also will help blend these two different methods of doing fluid together. And give it a little bit more of a realistic look. And it's also realistic because in real life, if this is actually happening, the camera would probably be a distance away, zoomed in, and have a shallow depth of field. So there we go. Maybe make the f-stop 0.4. Okay. Very good. And let's add in our ocean now. So I'm going to jump to layer 3 and Shift S, cursor to center. Shift A, add in a plane. And we're going to go modifiers, add modifier, Ocean Modifier. There we go. We have that big old mesh, and it's low quality and not so great. But in camera view, I'm going to grab it along the Shift Z and pull it out to be along the edge of the camera like so, just so nothing's being wasted. And let's generate one more along the Y and then along the X as well. Now we can pull this back even more. There we go. Now, do we need to generate along the Y? No, we don't. We don't even have to bother with the Y, so that will be faster for rendering. If you need to go along the Y because it's not in your scene, it's not working out there, you can see the corner, then go more. But if you don't have to, great. It all depends on the angle of your camera. So, with this, I'm now going to quick keyframe this a little bit. So, the time here... Well, hold up. I do think I need... Yes, I do think I need to go along the Y. Yeah, there we go. But, let me see. Is this still lined up here? No, my camera. Oh, the keyframe didn't save my motion. Shoot. So you gotta watch out for that. I accidentally put that keyframe in there and it messed up my camera positioning. So just rotate it back, pull it back. We know the distance because we already set up the limits. So we can just get away with that. And pull it down, pull it forward a little bit. Let me see what that looks like. It's pretty much how I had it. Just grab along with Z a little bit and double tap R to rotate it down a little bit. There we go. Pretty much how it was. Cool. Now that won't move because I deleted the keyframe, you know, with Option I. So now if we go back to our mesh, we do not need this. Very good. Now I'm going to animate this like I was saying. The time is at 1 right now. So I'm going to hit I, insert that, jump to the end, and go to 3 to add 2 seconds to that, and hit I again. Now the ocean will be animated like you see there. We need to go to our graph editor real quick, and you can see this is on a curve. We want that to be on a straight line, so we're going to go V and vectorize. Very good. Nice and straight. Let's make the depth of the ocean a lot less. Let's go just 2 or 1 maybe. So very shallow water. This is in meters, I believe. Then the scale needs to come down quite a bit as well. We'll go 0.4, so it's not real ripply. And the choppiness, choppiness can stay like that, I think. And that should do it. So now I'm going to crank the resolution up to about 24, and that'll take a little bit of time. There we go. Nice high quality mesh. Maybe just 22 for now, so it's not too slow in the viewport. Excellent. Save. And let's reposition this now. So I'm going to turn on both my layers here. I'm going to grab my ocean and raise it up along the Z until it is at the same level as the this other fluid sim here. That's pretty close. And now I'm going to G, pull it up there, and then top view, pull it up there. So we just have it at the same level. Very cool. And that will work well. Now what I'm going to do is we got both our sims here and they will render together, but they're not going to look great yet. So what I'm going to do to help make this look great is go to our in-between layer here, and let me turn on this one as well. Shift S, cursor to selected on my fluid domain here, or my fluid sim, I should say. Shift A, add in a plane, scale it up just a little bit bigger than the cube, lift it up to be just at above the level of the stagnant water, and allowing a whole splash to be in it, but just above the stagnant water there. So something like that will be good, I believe, right about there. Cool. Now this I'm going to give a gradient texture. So I'm going to open up a texture that I created, just a real simple texture I did in Photoshop. I'll throw it in the description for you guys. But I'm going to give it a new material. I have to go U, unwrap, and then just give it a input, or a texture, image texture, pop it to the diffuse. And actually we're going to make this an emission shader. So shader emission, pop it in there, and pop it in there. Very good. And open up the texture that I will be, I'll be including. Let me just go to my desktop. My desktop's a mess. Grab that. There we go. Very good. Now if I go to move this to layer 2, and if I go to it now on layer 2, you can see we have it there. And I go rendered, we get that. So that is going to be a main part of combining the mesh with the ocean, and that will help a lot. Alright, cool. So let's work on some materials now real quick. For this fluid, it's going to be water, so I'm going to go new material. We're going to go fluid, or not fluid, glass. And then the IOR value will be 1.333, which is water. And we can make that all the way white. Cool. And same material we want on the ocean. So just go here and open up that same material. So it's the same on both. And that is good. Now I'm going to duplicate my whole water mesh here. So I'm going to go Shift D. It will duplicate it. And I'm going to hit M, and I'm going to move it to layer 2 as well. Same thing with the ball here. Shift D, move it to layer 2. Now, you got to make sure you're pretty happy with the animation before you move on to the step. because if you want to change it, then you have to go back and duplicate them again later on, obviously. But now on layer 2, I'm going to give this ball the same emission material. Or actually, I'm just going to make a new material, and we'll make this emission. Very simple material. And same with the fluid here. We're going to make this fluid, grab it, and give it the same emission material that the ball has. Very cool. And this mesh doesn't have to be 100% emission, so I'm just going to go like 0.8, 0.7 on the emission value. Save it. And I think we're getting ready to do a render. I want to quick open up an HDR. So I'm going to go to my world settings here, use nodes, environment texture, by clicking on that little dot, environment texture, and opening up an environment texture real quick here. I'll throw a link to the description where you can get one yourself, so don't worry about that. Let me go HDRs, where do I have them here? Whew, right there. And I believe I just used, what was it? This one? Yes, just use this one. A 3K HDR will work well. Now to position the HDR in the background, I've done this a lot. It's very simple. You just go to your world settings down here in the node editor. Shift A, add in a texture coordinate. Pop it over there. Shift A, add in a vector mapping node. Connect the generated one to the vector and the vector to the vector. Now if I switch to rendered view here, we get our background, and I'm just going to position this to be a nice background by rotating it along the X and Y and Z. Something like that, some clouds. Maybe get the sun in there even by rotating along the Z. Where is the sun? Don't see it. Just rotate along the Z. Let me kind of see where the sun is here. Hit 5 to go to orthographic. And over here. Okay. So we need to rotate along the Z. Over here. Rotate along the X. And Y. There we go. And there we go. Something like that. Just a basic, nice looking clouds would work fine. Clouds with the sun overhead. Bingo. That should do it. Right there. And raise this up. There we go. You don't have to get too picky with this, like I am. Something like that would look pretty good, I think. Some clouds in the background will add to it. Good. Our environment texture should be set up good then. Now I'm going to add in a sun lamp. So Shift A, add lamp, sun, rotate it, kind of coming at the same angle as the HDR was. I think that's pretty good right there. Excellent. The value of the sun can be 8. This is typically what I do, 8, and give it just a tiny tad of yellow. Very awesome. Cool. And save my project. Alright, now I need to set up some render layers before I can render this. So, we're going to have 3 different render layers. Our first one will be our splash. So let me just double click that. Very good. And name it splash. We're going to add another one. This one will be layer 2. And this is going to be mask. And we're going to add a third one. This one will be the layer 3. And this will be our ocean. Very cool. So splash will be this layer. Check that. Mask will be this layer. And ocean will be this layer. Now our splash, we want to exclude layer 2 and 3 to not have any sort of influence on number 1. Same with number 3, we want to exclude the first 2. So that will help, and that will look good. And mask doesn't need to exclude anything, really. And everything should be set up. Alright. So I don't have any material on my ball. I'm not going to bother showing you how to do that. It's pretty simple. You can do it if you want. But like I said, you could also be using the football that we created. So then, you know, you can use that. I might as well add the mist option to my render layer on the ocean. I don't really need it on the splash. And if you want to add mist, you would do that. And then choose your mist settings here. Blah, blah, blah. You probably know how to do that. And mist here. Choose mist there. Very cool. And you can adjust the settings of the mist here. I might just go, what the heck, you know, 55 and start at 15. There's a little mist for us if we care to use it. 10. Alright, so I believe I'm ready to do a test render. We'll see what this is looking like, and render it. Alright, I'm going to quick enable GPU rendering here. You don't have to unless you have a graphics card that works with Blender. And choose GPU. I think that should do it. In my finished scene, I actually put a floor to the ocean, and basically use the same technique that I did in my ocean tutorial. So if you're interested in doing that, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm not going to bother doing that right now. I'm just going to give this a render, and we'll see how it's looking. We'll have to do a little bit of compositing before we get our finished result. Alright, that finished really fast, but I made a mistake on not selecting all three of my layers here. So do that, and then also I'm going to put the sampling up to about 100 samples, so it's not grainy. Very good. Now I should be able to do my render, and it will be proper. So we'll do that. Alright, now this finished, and if I scrub through my different layers over here, I left the background rendering in my mask, so I need to quick fix that. And it also looks like I didn't put my emission color at 100% white, so I need to do that as well. So let's quick do that. Layer 2. The material and the emission needs to be 100% white. Very cool. And on the, let me go to render layers, layer 2, we do not want the environment. So uncheck use environment. Awesome. Now we should be good. Save, select all three of our layers, and let's do a render. Alright, so that's looking much better, and that is exactly what we want on our mask layer. And let me check the other layers real quick. Here, splash, that looks pretty good. And ocean, that looks pretty good too. It's a little bit shallow depth. I might be able to turn the focus up a little bit on my camera. I think I have a little too crazy shallow of depth, but that is fine for now. I'll just go 7, but I'm not going to bother rendering that right now. So now let's combine all three of these render layers in our compositor. So switching over to compositing, let's choose use nodes and backdrop. Let's give ourselves some more room here. We might as well close off these windows here because we don't really need them. So I'm just going to do that and leave it nice and clean and open to work with. Alright, so let's add in a viewer node. We can just do this with the Control-Shift-Click on our render layer here. Cool. And there's render layer 1. So I'm going to duplicate this, change it to mask. There's number 2, and Shift-D, duplicate it one more time, and make it the ocean. Now we need to combine all three of these. How will we do it? Well, very simple. Shift-A, add in a color, alpha over. We're going to connect our top layer in the top part, the ocean layer in the bottom part, and our mask as the factor. Alright, now if we Control-Shift, click this, we should see the magic work. And whoop, got it wrong. Flip these two around, and there you go. So that's working, guys. And it's not bad looking. So basically, you see we have our ocean, we have our mask, and it adds this part of it over that part in a blurred fashion to blend it in very nicely with our ocean backdrop. So that is how you do it. You could use the pre-multiply options here too if you need to. Doesn't really make a lot of difference in the scene. And what I also did in some cases was Shift-A, add in a, let me see, color ramp to this value to kind of play with the mask a little bit, and I can kind of cut back the amount of water and such. You can see if I adjust this, I'm kind of cutting back the contrast there, and if I add more of it, let me see, just grab that, I'm adding a little more. So you can play around with those settings if you feel the need to, but that is looking pretty good. Pretty happy with that. I'm going to give it one more render with a little shallower depth of field, and you can always throw in some, let me see, color balance, and do your color adjustments. Don't forget to connect your composite node as well to the end. You know, I did some compositing in my scene and whatnot, but this is gonna do it. So I'm just gonna do the basic little compositing that I like to do on a lot of my scenes, and that's not looking too bad. Cool. So let me save it and render it out one more time with a little less depth of field, and that should do it then. Alright, and that does that. One thing that I wanted to quick change, because there's always something I want to change, but I want to add a little bit more detail to my ocean. So now that I have it the way I like it, I'm going to give it some more resolution. give it like a 26, and we'll get some more detail in there. Maybe make it a little less small, so it makes the scale a little bit bigger. Let me see what that looks like from camera. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to save it, and we'll render this maybe with a few more samples, just because it looks pretty. And so I'll just give it 150. And I'll be back with you guys then as soon as this is done. Very cool. And there you go. So the ocean now has some more detail. It blends seamlessly into it, and it looks great. Like I said, you could always add an ocean floor for a little bit more detail like I did in my ocean tutorial. So check that tutorial out and maybe add that if you want some more detail. But that is going to do it. I'll show you one more time. We have our splash. We have our ocean. Boom. And then we have our combined. Boom. Together. Nicely. With our render layers. So that kind of shows you the power of render layers. And very powerful. And once you get to learn the hang of them, you can create some awesome looking things. But that's it, guys. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned something. Hope I expand your knowledge of Blender a little bit. And I'll see you in my next tutorial. So, bye-bye.